Here at Studio 10, we don't shy away from the big issues, and breast cancer affects 1 in 8 women in Australia. So when we went through how to check for lumps in your breasts, we didn't just talk about it, we actually showed you how to do it. But while we showed the women of Australia how to keep an eye out, we didn't actually talk about the guys. Every year in Australia, around 140 men will be diagnosed with breast cancer, 140. And currently there are nearly 60,000 living with the disease across the country. Now, breast cancer survivor Mark Martin and Dr. Dasha both join us on the couch to talk about this morning. Hello. Mark, let's start with you. How did you know that something was wrong? How did you find the breast cancer lump?
So when I was young, I had a childhood injury when I was about 13, and I had this resultant scarring tissue on my nipple. So it was always there for as I was growing up. But about 4 to 5 years ago, it must have been probably a March or an April. I was in the shower, and I just noticed what I thought was that the scar tissue was a little bit bigger. And being a typical man, did nothing about it for about 6 months. A little bit later, I was up a ladder clearing some leaves out of the guttering, and I caught my chest on the guttering, and again I was just aware of it. Didn't do anything for another couple of months, and it was almost probably as an afterthought when I was seeing a GP the following November, so probably 8 to 9 months after I was first aware of it, that I had my hand on the handle of the door leaving the GP's office, and I just said, "Look, can you just have a quick look at this?" And it flowed from that.
So it would never have crossed your mind that it was breast cancer?
Not at all, not at all.
Did you even know that there was such a thing as male breast cancer? Was it something that was even remotely on your radar?
Never. It was, from my family point of view, there were no female relatives that had breast cancer. I'd had one aunt through marriage who had it. Otherwise, it was friends of friends, so just no knowledge of it whatsoever.
So it is a typically female disease. Did you have trouble kind of accepting that, this is something that you were battling?
Yeah, it comes as a real affront to your masculinity. And I grew up in a certain sort of type of family where, men are men, and, you play sort of contact sports to the hardest of your ability, and, it was just a certain environment that I grew up in where you'd never even think of it. So for me, even after I'd been told that I had it, it took me about a year to mentally accept it.
How did your family feel when you told them and your friends?
Well, family were very, very supportive, as you'd expect. Yeah. But, when you mention the family, the first thing you think about, I've got 3 children. My youngest was 7, middle was 9, and my oldest was 11. So, the word cancer, when it's used, is a real line in the sand. And that line in the sand in your life is like, are you going to be there to see your kids growing up? But they were very supportive. My friends, again, it was probably incredulity, like a man with cancer, that's, breast cancer, but again, very supportive.
Can I just say, in this introduction, you said there's how many men living with it that wouldn't know they've got it?
Well, approximately 150 men in Australia get diagnosed every year.
Wow.
And,
but there'd be guys out there now with it, but they wouldn't even know.
Yes, exactly.
So then what advice do you have for men that do find a lump?
Well, I think if you find a lump, the main point is that you don't ignore it and you see a doctor as soon as possible. And as Mark said, men tend to present a bit later and usually for another reason. So I think it's also up to us to ask if you've got any lumps or bumps. But if you do have one, go and see a doctor as soon as possible.
Well, Dr. Dasha, we at Studio 10 believe in not just telling people about these things, but actually showing them. And I am the resident Studio 10 guinea pig. So can you come with me and show me what I have to do to...
Sure. Good on you, Joe.
Tell you what, after my live prostate check, this should be it.
This should be an easy one. Very good.
What do I do now?
Well, we need to take your jacket off and your shirt off. So it's your lucky day with your live breast examination.
The whole thing?
Here,
here we go. Very good.
And the whole...
Yes, the shirt needs to come off.
Reminds me of a Joe Cocker song.
So I'm going to show Joe how to do it.
You can leave your hat on.
The whole shirt? Or can
I think the whole shirt should come off. Yes, there we go. Very good.
Okay.
It's not like it's the first time we've seen your body.
No.
Giving the people what they want.
So if I think for men out there, the best way to examine your breast is in front of a mirror. Okay, so at home you will do it in front of a mirror with your hands on your hips.
Yep.
And you'll be looking at yourself, and it's very important to know what your body normally looks like.
Well,
and
pretty good.
Very good, yes, that's right. And when we look at the breast, we look at the symmetry, so at the position of the nipples, any lumps or bumps that might be evident. And any discoloration that might be happening. We then ask you to raise your hands up in the air, okay? And that allows your muscle, the pectoralis muscle, to move. And once again, some lumps may become more obvious. And at that point, it's important to have a look under the arm.
What if you don't have any pecs?
It's a big problem. No, don't worry, Joe. Everything's looking very good. And then, Joe, then you put your hands on your hips.
Let's face it, it'd be pretty awkward if it got diagnosed right here.
There we
wouldn't it?
go. We hope not. Then ideally what you do is you put one hand behind your head and with the other hand you will start feeling around your breasts, okay? So usually starting with the opposite side, okay?
Now I know how all my first girlfriends felt.
Now the breast tissue starts all the way at the top there, so we want to feel in a circular pattern, starting. I'll show you how. So you start in a circular fashion around like so, feeling all the way around, and then starting to come a bit closer to the nipple. Now, obviously in men, majority of the breast tissue is actually located around the nipple, so that's the most common area where a lump could be felt. And then you will feel under your armpit, and I'll let you do that yourself. If
like
that's
this?
okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. And once again, this is where the lymph glands drain. So if you feel a lump there, that's also something to check out. And then you do the same on the other side.
I can do it with a shave, actually.
Very good.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can do the rest on our own now.
Leave Joe to put his shirt on. Now, in support of men and women affected by breast cancer, the National Breast Cancer Foundation is encouraging men to get pinked and raise funds for breast cancer research. The campaign is called Real Men Wear Pink. For more information and to donate, you can head to realmenwearpink.org.au. Mark and Dr. Dasha, thank you so much for joining us this morning.